What's going on, YouTube? It's Original Dobo, and finally doing my final review of the Apple Watch Series 1. If you were looking for a really awesome cinematic review with awesome angles and amazing ins and outs, this isn't going to be it. This is going to be a very straight to the info, what I think and whether or not this watch is worth your hard-earned money, and should you upgrade if you have the existing Apple Watch, or if you don't own an Apple Watch, is this worth buying over the original? So we're going to start the review right now. Now, as a disclaimer, I've used this watch for almost 13 days since I bought it. I bought it on the 16th, maybe more, maybe less. But I've used this every single day as much as I possibly could, and I'm ready to give you my thoughts on whether or not this watch is really worth the money. Now, aesthetically, nothing's really changed on the outside of this watch. It basically remains the same as the previous generation. What's different though is the internals of this watch have changed, meaning that they bumped up the processor to a dual-core processor. It's the same processor found in the Series 2. What you do not get in this watch over the new, which is the Series 2, is you don't get GPS, you do not get the IP68 water resistance, and you're not getting a 1000 nit screen. So brightness remains at 450 nits, no GPS, you're getting an IPX7 water resistance, which honestly, I think this device is a little bit more waterproof than Apple leads us to believe. As I've been showering and I have jumped in the pool a couple of times with this, I'm not saying that you should definitely do that, but it can certainly handle it if you do. So I'm going to break this review down into two main sections, which is really battery life and performance. We really can't talk about overall aesthetics since they haven't changed. So let's jump into battery. So battery life on this watch, Apple claims it can get 18 hours of use. And I'm going to have to agree with Apple that 18 hours of use is probably very true. I went to Disney over the weekend. I took my watch off the charger at 8 a.m. My wife took her Apple Watch as well, and she's got the original Apple Watch, so she took her Apple Watch off the charger at roughly about 8 a.m. as well. We went to Disney, we went to 3 parks, we didn't get home until about 1 in the morning. So that's a pretty long while there, and we use our watches primarily when we're at the park because it's easier to respond, or if you're on a water ride, you don't have to worry about getting this wet as you do with your phones. So as I put my watch on the charger, I was at about 22% and her watch was at 18%. So percentage wise, you know, we're within 4% of one another. She maybe used hers a little more than me, or I maybe used mine a little bit less. Really hard to say, but they were too close to really say that upgrading over the original Apple Watch for battery life is the thing to do. If you're looking to increase your battery life, this isn't going to do it. 4% is not a big enough increase to upgrade over the previous watch. So again, battery life is marginally the same, if I had to say. Maybe a little bit better, but it's so small that normal people just aren't gonna notice. So that's battery life. Let's talk about performance. So performance on this watch has been rather smooth. You can go through app to app and not really have any issues whatsoever as far as lag. Now I did notice with my original Apple Watch when I was using it, just normal, trying to get through things such as maps or anything working or loading, it did stutter, it did lag, and it would just bind up, and it was a little bit janky at first. Now, as a disclaimer, I really haven't got a chance to use the original Apple Watch too much on watchOS 3. Now, again, looking at from what my wife's been using, she really hasn't had too many issues with the watch. A couple of times where it just bogs down and you gotta give it a little bit before it catches up with itself. I don't notice that here with the Apple Watch Series 1, and particularly that's due to part that you do have the dual-core processor, so that's gonna help you handle tasks a little bit better. Overall, I can feel a smoothness within this watch that I didn't feel in the first generation, which led me to dislike the first generation and end up going towards another option. With this, I just don't feel like it really ever bogs down, even with multiple tasks running. Now again, if you're okay with a little bit of substandard performance, the Apple Watch original may be the go for you, but for me, performance is huge, and I like to have something that performs consistently anytime I try to use something, and that's something I can definitely say about this watch. So for me, this is definitely a no-brainer. I like the way it performs. It's definitely quicker, and I don't find myself really waiting for much. So you can see just bouncing through specific apps, I'm really not having any issues. and it does work very smooth. But again, that's gonna about do it for this video. So if you're gonna ask me my opinion, I would say no. If you already have the original Apple Watch, it's not worth upgrading. WatchOS 3 should have already given you a better experience, and if it hasn't, then I don't think you're going to be much happier going to the Series 1 or Series 2 watches. If you don't already have an Apple Watch and you're interested in trying this, for $299 that they're selling the Apple Watch Sport 42mm, that is definitely a great choice. If you're a guy, definitely get the 42mm. Don't be cheap and think you're saving money by getting a 38. You're not going to have the same experience. If you're a gal or one of the ladies, definitely the 38mm is a great choice. It will look better on your wrist than the 42. But for the guys, definitely go 42mm. That's just my thought on that. And then if you don't feel like springing for that type of money, you can also look at Swappa for the original Apple Watch, as they are probably going to have some really outstanding deals, and you can probably get a stainless steel version for what it would cost you to get this watch right here, brand new. Another thing I did do with this watch, I did put a screen protector on here. If you can't tell, there is a Skinomi screen protector on here, so I don't really have to worry about screen scratching. Although I don't think this screen would scratch very easy at all to begin with, just because if you don't bang it up against anything, you're going to be in good shape. So yeah, so that's just my thoughts on this watch. But other than that, that's going to about do it for this quick video review. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe and like and share the video. If you know anybody who's on the fence of what to get and this video is going to help them, make sure you share it with them. That's going to about do it. I'm Original Dobo, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.